Hi, Rick here from Marionville RC, DJI dealer from the UK and RC specialist for over 45 years. In this video I'm going to show you how to get your new Osmo Action into the action. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe and support the channel and give me the power to bring you more videos. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to check our contents of our Osmo Action. Of course, so you have the box. As you can see here, I have spared you another unboxing video because if you can't get this from here, pack it up and send it back. Anyway, so first of all, of course, we've got our Osmo Action, which comes in its device holder. You've got the Osmo Action's battery, which also comes in a small case, and you've also got a wee fit in there for putting an SD card in it. It comes with two mounts, and these are a bayonet style mount, so you can swap them from base to base. So for example, that's a curved mount, so you would probably have that on a helmet, etc. And this one is a flat mount that you can maybe mount onto like a surfboard or something like that, and then you can swap between them just simply by clipping them in. You've also got the sort of screw pin, which will go through there and mount it onto the bayonet mount. You get a USB charging cable, bit of information with some web addresses on it, and you get a manual, which is actually not a manual, it's literally just safety guidelines and a disclaimer. It's that thick and tells you absolutely nothing. So now that we've got all the bits out, first thing we need to do is charge the battery. Okay, so we're going to need our Osmo Action, battery and our USB charging cable. So first thing we need to do is get the Osmo Action. I'm going to do that constantly through the video, so if I say GoPro, I do mean Osmo Action. So the clasp is similar to the GoPro, so we just need to uncatch that, drop the door down and push the camera out. Now you probably don't want to push it down on the lens because you're just going to end up with fingerprints. So we take that out. In the side, you have the little door, push the catch, lift up. This is where the charging is going to be done, and of course you've got your slot for your for your USB cable. But first thing we need to do is we need to get our battery into the camera. So we just put that in there, clips into place, and then we can now just take the cellophane off the cable. Now I'm just going to plug it into a USB extension lead that I've actually got plugged into a DJI Spark charger, but obviously just any sort of like iPhone type charger, phone charger in the wall. That into there, and that into the slot in the side. As you see, we now have, just make sure it's securely pushed in, and you can now see that we have a red charging indicator on the front. And that is it now charging. Okay, so once it's fully charged, you'll notice that the red light is now powered out, and you can now disconnect the charging lead. Now, just as a sort of tip, if you find the door's actually getting in the way, you can actually remove it. You just remove it by pulling the door up against the side, and you see it clips off because the hinge has got like a small slot in it. And then to put it back on, you can just clip it back on, and then that just shuts down. Okay, so the next stage is we want to get the camera now set up. Now we have our battery in, it's fully charged, so the first thing we want to do is turn it on. Get our power light. So I'll turn that around so you can now see it. So the first thing we want to do is select our language. At the moment there is only English and Chinese, so we want to tap on English. And now what we need to do is we need to activate the actual Osmo, and what this will do is, because every Osmo has a serial number, so what this will do is this will assign the serial number to your DJI account. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the DJI Mimo app. So we need to find Mimo. So first thing we'll need to download the Mimo app. Once you've got the Mimo app downloaded, we also want to open that up. Now make sure that your Bluetooth is switched on because we will need that. Tap here to connect to the device. Oh, sorry. That has turned off, so we want to get that back on. There we go. Connect. There we go. Accept. We're going to agree to its terms and conditions. we need to turn on the that, and then we can go to the there after. So as I said earlier, what that's going to do is it's going to assign the serial number to your DJI account. Now when you download the Mimo app, one of the first things you'll need to do is actually sign into the app. When you do that, it creates you a DJI account where you can do things like, if you've got a drone, you can sync all your flight records, or you can upload photographs to, etc. Okay, so now I've got all the password in, we're ready to go to log in. Hopefully I've popped that in correctly. I have, and we do have success. Let's power down again. So we want to confirm our account and we want to activate the device. Right, so now what it's offering you now is DJI Care Refresh. It's just like like an insurance plan that if you lose your device or you break it, they'll cover up to, well, as you can see there, 2 replacements. But we don't want that. We're going to be careful. Notice for beginners, it's just giving you some details on various, like where to put the SD card, power button, just an overview, because I probably just said earlier, it doesn't come with any instructions. That's why we're doing this video. So that just covers all your touch screens, how to do different various things, and then we are done. Now it's going into a firmware update to keep the sort of best performance. You're going to have to periodically update the firmware. So you do this through this app, as you can see. So we want to just can click on that, download the firmware. And then install the firmware. Oh, see, it's powered off again. Put that back on. Oh, or did I just turn that off? Hang on. Seems to power down quite quickly when you're not using it, but I'm sure we can change that in the settings. No, we are definitely powered on and right next to it. There we go. Okay, accept. Well, if you experience this issue when setting up, then you know what to do. So sometimes it's not a bad thing when it doesn't go to plan. Right, what it's wanting to do is it wants to be plugged in, so it definitely has power during the update. Now we need to put in an SD card. Okay, so we're going to need an SD card. This is just for the firmware to load onto. It's obviously not going to go directly onto the camera itself. Oh. I'm going to unplug that. This seems a bit awkward to get the SD card in. Just notice so you can see that. Oh, we're doing well here. There it is, we've got it in. Probably not a bad idea to actually remove the door for this bit. Card speed too low, yeah. Right, card speed's definitely not too low because it's a good one. I'm sure this is just the usual little fancies of early DJI stuff. On there you'll get a little list as well of all the different things that's actually on the update, so you're going to periodically get them. You'll get the call whether you want to actually update them or not. So it's also giving you a approximate update time, and we'll just let that run. And there we go, we are done. And then we are on. Job's a good one. Update successful. Boom. Okay, so first things we'll do is just have a look at the camera menu. So sliding in from the side now, you have obviously camera and you have video menu selecting here. So the first one we have is obviously the camera menu, which you can obviously select in at auto. You do have a maximum ISO setting there as well, and of course an exposure adjuster. Going into the manual settings, again you can select the ISO to auto, and you can also select the maximum, and you have shutter control there as well. And then popping down into the camera adjustments, you've obviously got white balance, which you can either have in custom, and you can actually set the actual Kelvin value that you want, or obviously back into auto. And then over here we have our color grading, so you can either have it on the manual or you can have it on a Cine D-Light, which gives you a more sort of flatter colors, and you can manipulate it better later on. Moving down into here, you have the D-Warp. What that does is it takes the fisheye that you would typically get on action cameras because of the wide angle and bends them flat. So it works actually very well. It will obviously crop the image slightly, but it's probably worth it. So you can either turn that off or on. What else we've got here? And then of course we've got the container for the compression, so you can have either MOV or MP4 depending on, to be honest, what you're going to be manipulating it or opening the images with. And then we can just take that back out and then swipe out and bring the screen back up. Okay, so now swiping in from the bottom, we now have our resolution modes. Now, if I just move that back to center, first of all, you've got up here is whether you want the rock steady or not. That's basically your digital image stabilizing, but it's worth noting that it's not available in all modes. So for example, 4K 4.3, rock steady is not available. And then when you select your resolution, you can select your frames per second up here. 4K, same again. 2.7K in 4.3, 2.7K wide, 1080p, and of course finally down at 720. But as you can see, the choice of frames per second you get starts changing considerably. So in 720p you've got 240 frames per second, which is quite slow-mo. Same with 1080, 2.7K, you're into 60 frames per second, going right down to your sort of typical values there. And of course in any of these you can turn the rock steady off or on, although why you would want it off I'm not too sure. Although just as a footnote, this camera does have HDR, but you can't have HDR and rock steady on at the same time, so you might have to make a call. You could use the HDR if you were possibly filming from a tripod, then that would be okay. And then the added advantage of HDR is you can pretty much, without any issues, use the video footage straight out the camera without any manipulation, where if you shoot with the rock steady, you might want to color grade it. I mean, it just depends on what you're using the footage for. Okay, so our next part, we're going to pull in the menu screen from the top. So the first thing we have is we have customizable camera modes, and you can have up to 4 of these, customizing all your different settings, etc. So that's the first one. Next one, we have the brightness. This is the brightness of the LCD screen on the camera. So if we just turn it on, we can go down and we can of course go up. Next one along is we can actually lock the screen. And then to unlock it, you just drag the padlock slowly up. Next one is we have more menu settings. Of course, you've got voice control, whether you want to turn it on or off. There's about 5 commands at the moment, but I'm sure that we'll expand on this. Of course, you have language, but at the moment it's only available in English and Chinese. And then you've got your command list there to tell you what you can actually do. Voice control wise. Swap that down. That is the if you want the, like on a smartphone where you flip the orientation of your phone to have landscape or portrait, you can turn that off. You've got a self timer. Oh, sorry, you've got spot metering mode. Whoa. Going to bring that back down. I'm going to take spot metering off. We have our voice control on off, and the final one is this is for the front screen. Now the front screen is quite square. It's 4.3, so you've got the choice of whether you want to make the front screen in 16.9, so it's got black bars top and bottom, or whether you want the image cropped into 4.3, so it will cut off the sides. So next menu up we've got from the bottom corner. So in these are your shooting modes. So you have obviously slow-mo, you've got HDR. As I say, Rocksteady will not work in HDR mode, at least not at the moment. You've got whoops. You've got your normal video mode, because we are in video mode. And we have time-lapse. Now at the moment we don't have hyperlapse, but again I'm sure this is early stuff, so these are all firmware things, so they can all come back in later on. And then the next menu we can hit on is photos. So we have self timer, burst, single shot, and bracketing. And then over to here we have the custom ones. Now these are the custom ones that I mentioned earlier, that you can set up custom parameters, and then I will show you shortly where they can be accessed quickly. So we go back to the menu. I'm just going to put that back to normal photo. Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the actual buttons on the Osmo now. So the first one I'm going to show you is the quick shot. Now if you go into your menus, scroll down, hit the settings, you've got, snapshot. So what snapshot is when the camera goes into standby, if you just hit the shutter button, it will do something. And in this menu, you can actually select what it's going to do, whether it's going to take a bit of video, bit of a photo, etc., go into slow motion, HDR video, time-lapse, etc. So you select that there now. So if I do that, and then what I'll do is I'll just put the camera on standby, as you see, and then if I just hit that, see, straight away it's taken a picture and I haven't had to turn it on. So that's actually quite a good feature. Another feature that sets the Osmo Action, aside from the GoPro, is the front view screen. And we can activate this in two ways. We can either double tap the screen, the rear screen, whoops, get it off of preview. So we double tap, and that's us over to the front screen. Now in the settings you can change this from either being the 16.9 that it is, or you can set it over to the 4.3, which would better fill the viewfinder. The other way to do it is we use the voice command. I'm going to just get a bit closer because it seems to like it loud. Screen switch. There you go. And then back. Screen switch. And then back we go. Obviously if there's ambient noise, then you're probably better just double tapping the screen. There we go. Next button we're going to have a look at is this quick select button on the side. And what this does is this quickly allows you to scroll through the different shooting modes. So if we do on there, we've got video, HDR, slow motion, and time lapse. Now in the settings you can select, see, quick switch, you can select what it's going to scroll through. So all you have to do is you sort of go, well, I never use slow motion or time lapse. You can actually take them out, do like that, and then when you hit this button, you're going to get video, you're going to get HDR, and that's it. But what I would probably be doing in this one is putting in your custom settings. So that's where you've set up like custom settings for the camera, and you save them. Kind of like, when you get the seat programs in like a BMW, etc. You can just quickly scroll through those. Okay, another little funky feature, not an actual feature, but a safety feature that I want to show you is actually removal of the battery. It will not come out accidentally because there's a two latch system. You've got one here on the side, if I just pull that around, like that, and then the second one, boom, battery comes out. And that's a good feature, so you don't automatically, because remembering it's not in a waterproof case, so for example if the battery pops out, boom, it's all over. It's not just the batteries come out, it's that your camera has flooded. So what you want to do when it goes in, you want to check there's no red tab there, and we're good to go on this side as well. So now that you've got your Osmo Action all set up and ready to go, we want to get it all back into its little housing. Now there will be a lot more accessories appearing on the market as time goes by, like proper waterproof housings, because the Osmo will only go down to 11 meters as it is. There we go, that just pops in there. Close it up on the back, just make sure the clasp is in place. Boom, job done. And then to put it on the stand, we'll just mount that on there. And then put the thumb screw in. There we go. Make sure it goes all the way around. Just ensure that obviously the nut is on the other side, and then that will just screw up. And then obviously you can adjust that to get the right angle, and then lock it up. And as I said to you before, if you have the other mount, say tucked onto a helmet, etc., and this was on on your surfboard, etc., you can just twist bane it, comes out, get your new one, and click, we're locked back on, and we are ready to go. Well, I hope you like my video on getting your new Osmo Action into the action. If you'd like to support my channel, you can always like, share and subscribe, and remember to hit the little bell icon, and every time I post up a new video you will get notified. Down in the comments you'll also find a link to purchase the Osmo Action direct from my website if you're in the UK or the EU. If not, there's an affiliate link for the DJI website. Costs nothing to you, but I get a small commission which helps support the channel and keep the videos coming. And I will see you on the next video. So we've got our GoPro, we've got our battery, and we've got our charging cable. First thing we need to do is get the GoPro out of its case. Kind of comes out very similar to the can't believe I just said all that.
Twice GoPro.
GoPro. Oh, that's what you're on about.
GoPro?
Yeah. I've got the voice activation activated. We can just say switch screen. Switch screen. You. Switch. Switch screen. Oh, for f***'s sake.
Dude doesn't understand.
No, I've probably turned off voice activation or something stupid like that. No, voice activation's on. Off. On. Have I forgot the switch? Switch screen. Switch screen. Switch screen. Now I can't even remember what the command is. Oh, for goodness sake. Voice control. Command list. Start recording. Screen switch. You... No, it doesn't because I said it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Screen switch. I said switch screen. Doesn't do it.
Doesn't like it.
No. Right, we'll do that again.